I gave you the example of Tokpisin, which was a pidgin that became an expanded pidgin, and it was given an official status in Papua New Guinea. Now you would expect that now this language that has been given official status is going to be spoken continuously by a large number of people in the community. Therefore, the part where I said pidgins are the native language of no one, they're no one's mother tongue. But if a pidgin becomes an expanded pidgin, then the rules of the game shift a little bit. There's no family in which the kids are born and then the parents speak pidgin at home and only pidgin, and then the child learns pidgin and the whole household speaks pidgin. That's not the case for pigeons. If that becomes the case, if pigeons become serious and expanded and they become more complex and people start speaking it as a native language or a mother tongue, it's not a pidgin anymore. There's a different word for it, and that word is Creole. It is not always easy to distinguish the two. Basically, the classic distinction between pidgin and Creole is a pidgin can be Creolized. Creole is a sociolinguistic term to refer to a pidgin language that has become the native language of a speech community. This is taking place in many places. Examples include Jamaica, Haiti, and several other former colonial regions of the world. The process of a pidgin becoming a Creole is called creolization. It takes place when the structural and stylistic range of the pidginized language expand in a way that it turns into a creolized language. A creolized language is comparable in terms of formal and functional complexity to other natural languages. The pidgin becomes elaborate, it becomes more similar to a natural language. Its reduced grammar expands and becomes more complex. Its lexicon expands, it becomes a full-on language. For example, in Mauritius, which is a big island in Africa, they have a French-based Creole. I'm going to give you another example of a Creole language, which is actually where the word Creole itself comes from, and that Creole is called Creole. It's a language that's spoken in Sierra Leone in West Africa. It is an English-based Creole that is a mix of English and African languages. As you can see, still the situation is like European colonization, and the language is mixed with a major European language, in this case English. In Mauritius it's French. But now I'm going to give you an example that has nothing to do with any major European language. There's a language called Kikongo, which originated as a pidgin in the 15th century as a contact language between the speakers of mutually unintelligible varieties of Kikongo who were involved in trading along the Congo River. It was prompted by Portuguese presence, but the language itself is a mix of different African languages. It is not based on any of the world's major colonial languages such as French, English, Spanish, Portuguese, etc. It is considered to be an African-based Creole and has developed a written form of its own. When the language expands, it becomes more complex and it develops more full-on features like a natural language, and in this case, developing a writing system is part of that complexity, right? As far as the universal properties of language are concerned, because among natural languages we have this universal grammar and we look for universal linguistic properties, the question would become, okay, considering the situations, the extreme or specific situations under which pidgins developed and then were creolized, how do they fit into universal grammar? They have been studied elaborately and extensively among linguists in terms of how they should be classified in terms of typology, like what type of language or what type of universal properties do they exhibit. You would say, oh, there's people who speak a few words of English, or they know just a little English, and then when they try to communicate with English speakers, they struggle, but they still say something in English which doesn't quite fit the English grammar, but sometimes they can actually communicate. So what they're doing can be explained based on Bickerton's 1981 theory that suggests that the structure of early Creolized languages, or abrupt Creoles, is as a result of an innate bioprogram. This sounds pretty much like Chomsky's idea that language is innate, or we have a language acquisition device. Basically, biologically, we have something in us which is the basis of language. And then when you don't have access to linguistic forms, you still have those patterns in you, and you know how to communicate in a way. And you put together whatever you know, you use your bioprogram, your internal biological linguistic device, and you put whatever information you have on top of it, and you can use it to communicate. This is, of course, one of many theories. Why do people create Creole? When that effort that you say, a person who doesn't know proper English, when that effort becomes collective by a large number of people, people apply their bioprogram and use whatever linguistic forms they have, and they create a language. In a way, what is amazing about pidgins and Creoles, you could say it's a process of creation, language creation. There's also Creoloid. It is a sociolinguistic term to refer to a language variety that displaces a resemblance to a Creole. For example, simplification displaces. There are languages that look like Creoles, but they were not created from pidgins. They have properties that are typical of Creole languages. Afrikaans is one of those languages.